All right, so the first start we're going to talk about are going to be in the quarterback position. It's going to be some good streaming options for you. We're going to start with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going against the Lions this week, who's actually giving up the most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, you could do way worse this week, so I know some people may look at Daniel Jones and go, whoa, really? Is he recommending Daniel Jones? Absolutely. I mean, you're getting a quarterback. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks on bye this week. I mean, you may need somebody to be in a hot spot. Why not grab a quarterback who could be serviceable, who does have some wheels with his legs, who could get some points here? And you have a defense giving up the most points to opposing quarterbacks. I mean, like I said, you could do way worse here. I mean, he's a great streaming option if your quarterback is definitely on bye this week. The next quarterback is another streaming option I'm going to talk about. That's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go ahead and go against the Cardinals this week, and I think he has that safe floor. He doesn't have a super high ceiling, but like I said, if he can get you these consistent mild points, it might be able to get you through this week with the win. That way you can get your better quarterback in next week. I mean, the 49ers should destroy the Cardinals this week. They should be able to have so many weapons on the field. Jimmy Garoppolo has a lot of things to kind of going for him as far as people on the field, whether it's George Kittle or whatnot. He should be able to put up some nice points for you. Grab Jimmy Garoppolo if you need a streaming option this week. Now, the next quarterback we're going to go over yet again, another streaming option. It's going to be Marcus Mariota. Mariota's going against the Bears this week, who, I mean, he's got some wheels on the ground. He can give you a lot of rushing yards, and the Bears are actually struggling to stop at the run, especially towards the outside. Marcus Mariota should be able to pick up quite a few points for you with his feet, and he's shown that he can make it happen if he's going to head and hook up with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I mean, he's got options there to help him get some points for you. Again, this week is really going to be must-start options for these streaming option quarterbacks. That you may really be coming into some type of pickle if your guy is on bye week this week. So I'd say start Marcus Mariota this week. Now let's move over to the running back position. So the first start at running back, we're going to talk about Ramondre Stevenson. Now, Ramondre Stevenson gets to go against the Jets this week, and I know the Jets do have a good run defense, but just hear me out here. The last time he played the Jets not too long ago, he had 16 carries for 71 yards. He had 16 carries for 71 yards and 7 receptions for 72 yards. I mean, he's somebody who can definitely put up some points for you against the Jets. He's done it already this season, and I think he's got a great option for you to start this week. Now, the next running back I'm going to recommend for you as a must start is going to be Brian Robinson. He's going against the Texans defense, who, I mean, they're averaging the most points given up to the running back position this year, and it's not even close. I mean, he shares the workload with Gibson, so we really don't know. Is it going to be a Gibson game? Is it going to be a Robinson game? Not really sure, but I think Brian Robinson is going to have a nice monster game against the Texans this week. Now, the next running back we're going to talk about is Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is going against the Browns this week, who's given up the second most points per game to opposing running backs. And just like last year when he started heating up in the second half of the season, he's doing the same thing this year. They have a great offense with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. And it looks like Devin Singletary is the main ball carrier for this club from the running back spot. There's not a lot of people who's really giving him competition for touches on the field. Get Devin Singletary in your lineup this week. Now let's go ahead and head over to the wide receivers here. And the first must start I'm going to talk to you about is Rondale Moore. Now, Rondale Moore is going against the 49ers this week, and it should be a really kind of a catch-up game for the Cardinals this week. I mean, the 49ers should be able to put up a lot of points. The Cardinals need to catch up with them. I mean, they always got DeAndre Hopkins, yes, but Moore has been a very, very consistent player for him week in and week out. He's somebody that you can really be consistent, somebody you can really count on, and if he's not on your team, I mean, you might want to try to make a trade for him before the trade deadline. Rondale Moore is somebody you could probably get relatively low. He's not one of those high-profile name guys, but Rondale Moore is making it happen. Get Rondale Moore in your lineups this week. The next guy I'm going to talk about is Kadarius Toney. Toney's going up against the Chargers this week, and he's really starting to get more acclimated with Mahomes, as you've seen last week. I mean, he could give you this type of Tyreek Hill-like performance sooner rather than later, and I would definitely want to be on the sooner cart with Toney than the later. Be confident that you're playing him. I think you can have a great game against the Chargers this week. Get Toney in your lineups. Now, the last must start I'm going to talk about is going to be Courtland Sutton. He's going up against the Raiders this week, who's given up the 13th most points per game to opposing wide receivers. The last time he played the Raiders a few weeks ago, 11 targets, 6 catches, 66 yards. Could definitely come in for a good game this week, given that Jerry Jeudy's going to be sidelined. He is a good option for you. Get Sutton in your lineup this week. Now let's go ahead and go over to the tight end position. We're going to talk about Dalton Schultz. Schultz is going against a Vikings defense who's giving up the 9th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He could be in a high-scoring matchup here. I mean, ever since he's taken over and he's become the tight end, he did really well last season. Now this season, he got Prescott back from injury. Dalton Schultz and Prescott have a rapport together. They link up. They're able to put a lot of points. He did very well last week. I think he's going to do very good this week. Get Dalton Schultz in your lineup. The next tight end I'm going to talk about is Greg Dulcich. Dulcich going against the Raiders defense, giving up the 5th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He is a huge middle of the target type of guy who's becoming a super reliable target for Russell Wilson. I think Dulcich is becoming one of the best fantasy tight ends in fantasy football, starting to get there, and I think by next season, you may be looking at a top 5 tight end. Get Dulcich in your lineup. Now, the last tight end we're going to talk about today is going to be Cole Kmet. Kmet's going against the Falcons defense, who's giving up the 8th most points per game to opposing tight ends. He's starting to actually shine now that Fields is getting his stuff together. I mean, he was straight dumpster garbage, trash fired earlier, right? He was on my team. I dropped him. But now Cole Kmet's starting to come together. He's starting to do the things that everybody thought he was going to do early on in the season. Get Cole Kmet in your lineup. Now on to the Bengal Tiger Starts of the week. The first Bengal Tiger Start of the week are at the quarterback position. Let's talk about yet again Justin Fields. He's going against the Falcons defense, giving up the 4th most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. And the Falcons have trouble stopping the run. Justin Fields is running over everybody. This guy should be a lightning in a bottle type of guy. If you got him on your field, or if you got him on your team, feel lucky that you got him. Put Justin Fields in your lineup as the Bengal Tiger Start of the week. Now the Bengal Tiger Start of the week for the running back position. Let's talk about Cordell Patterson. He's going against the Bears this week, giving up the 5th most points per game to opposing running backs. And I know last week was really disappointment. He didn't play in that many snaps, but I think he's just coming back from the injury. They want to kind of break him in a little bit. I think there were some weather concerns. There's all types of stuff, but they should dominate this week. I think that Cordell Patterson is going to have a really solid game. They're going to have a positive game script. They're going to be going to Cordell quite a bit. He's going to have more involvement into the game. I just see him having a really good game, and get him in your lineups this week. Now, the Bengal Tiger Start of the week at the wide receiver position. Let's go over T. Higgins going against the Steelers defense, giving up the 2nd most points per game to opposing quarterbacks. There's going to be no Jamar Chase this week. I think T. Higgins is going to be the main guy. There's going to be plenty of offensive plays due to the Steelers giving up a lot of 3-and-outs with that rookie quarterback, Kenny Pickett. I think T. Higgins is going to have a fine game this week. He's definitely a Bengal Tiger Start of the week at the wide receiver position. Now, looking at the Bengal Tiger Start of the week for the tight end position, we're going to go over George Kittle. Kittle gets to take on the Cardinals this week, who's given up the most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. He should absolutely dominate this Cardinals defense. I mean, I know he's been a disappointment thus far this season, but I mean, this is going to be a really dynamite game. He can really break out this week. You could see a huge week from Kittle. You don't want to sit him on your bench and just looking at it. Get Kittles in your lineup.